everyone, it's Dwayne and welcome back to the channel. We're doing another Quad Cortex tone recreation video. So this is your first time. Basically what I do is I take a song and then I try recreating the tone using the Quad Cortex. It's not an exact science. It's very much kind of like I feel my way around it, and I use stock effects and amps and stuff like that on the Quad Cortex and try and get something that sounds similar to the song we're trying to go for. And then I leave the rest up to you, the viewer, to try and to fill in the gaps. So what we're going to do today is a song called The Abortion Plan by a band called Oceana. So unlike some of my other videos, I'm not going to kind of look up what they used. I don't know if much of their equipment would be available anyway, but I do know we're going to need a high gain amp. So we're going to put the noise gate on there. I'm going to keep it at 30% because that's a good kind of starting point for the noise gate in general. This isn't a super gated sound, so we're not going to go too aggressive. For the amp, I'm thinking we'll probably go for the tried and tested EVH 5150, and we're going to do the red 6L6, and we're going to put a cabinet in there and maybe do the Zilla V30 cabinet, which is a really good option. So get a nice little heavy sound to start off with. For this particular thing, I think we're going to use a Tubescreamer, kind of EQ, not really boost. We might put this up to 7. Nice little metal tone there. So I think this song has a little bit of gain to it, but nothing too crazy. So what I actually might even do is put the overdrive up on here. Not too bad. I think we need some treble on there. We might also give it a little bit of mid. It's not a super bassy sound. We're going to dial that down. We might put a little bit more gain on there. Not too bad. There's something a little bit off about it, but we'll get into that in a minute. All right, so now I'm gonna try and do a little playthrough. I realized I was probably in the wrong tuning, so I put my pitch shifter up and in C sharp tuning now, so you can Okay, so now we've got kind of like a little basic tone happening based on how I think it might sound. We might have to tweak this, but we're going to do a quick little playthrough. I also put the tuning up on my guitar to C sharp instead of drop C because I think the tuning was wrong. But you could play this in drop C if you wanted to, but I think it is C sharp from memory because I did learn a few of these songs from the album, but that was a long time ago, so let's play. So I think what we have actually sounds really good. What I will actually probably also do is put on a low-high cut there, and I think I'll keep out the default settings. It's definitely not super gained, but it definitely kind of has... That sounds pretty good to me. I might just bump the master up a little bit. Master! I'm gonna put that gain, that overdrive back down to 2. I also think maybe 6 on the gain might be a bit too much. Maybe 5. That's the thing that the trap you can fall into with these tones as well, is you're trying to replicate the album tone, which generally doesn't have as much gain. It's definitely something I'm trying to kind of work with. We're going to save this. If I can spell it properly. There we go. Could we maybe put like a little sort of slight like room reverb or something on there to kind of just pad it out a little bit? I reckon we could. Maybe really slightly though, like 20% mix. Yeah, the room reverb is good for just kind of giving it a bit more of like a stereo effect. Fills it out a little bit because the recording of this would have no doubt been, you know, double, triple, quad tracked. And there's obviously like lead parts and stuff under there as well, which I think this would apply to. But you can see it's a very simple preset we've got here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a final playthrough on this. I think we got pretty close. We don't want to kind of go too much on the gain, and I think the reverb is going to help us out here. So. a super complicated tone. As you can hear, it is largely an overdriven amp with the V30 speakers, room reverb for some stereo, and a Tubescreamer with slight gain on there, because when you listen to the original, you can hear there's a slight little bit of grit in there, but it's not super distorted. There is a cleanness to it, but you can definitely hear that there is some high gain to it. So that's the reason for putting 2 on the overdrive. We don't push the level too high because this is not metal. Even though it is a high gain tone, we don't want to drive the amp to the point where it's completely saturated and boosted. We're kind of just more treating this as an EQ, I guess. Amp settings are pretty timid by 5150 red channel standards. We left the gain at 5. We did have that on 6, but we dialed it back. We put the bass back down to 4. Put the mid up, the treble up. We kept the presence and the resonance the same, and I just put the master up to taste. And that's basically the sound. Also, we put a low high pass on there as well, which just kind of like, it cleans up the tone, but you know, it would probably, to most people, you wouldn't be able to hear the difference if that was turned off. But yeah, that's basically the gist of the tone. Let me know in the comments how you think I went, because, you know, sometimes I speed run these things and I'm not diving into super in-depth details. So, you know, sometimes things can kind of like, I can't hear them straight away because I'm not like spending hours doing this. And I'm also comparing to the studio version as well, which is obviously, you know, can be a bit of a kind of empty pursuit, because in a studio, you're listening to multiple tracks, you're listening to mixing and mastering and all that kind of stuff that goes into a song like this. But to my ears, we kind of achieved something similar to the mixed version, and kind of just showed you the process of how we dial in, you know, amps, especially high gain amps, and not necessarily be so high gained. Even though if we do dig into this, it will kind of have a bit of a almost metalcore sound to it, actually, even though the mids aren't scooped. Yeah, I mean, a bit messy there, but you get the point. It's a good tone, but we're not digging in hard, so the dynamics aren't they're not being overworked there. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you thought I did, or if you have a request for a song you'd like to see me do next, let me know in the comments as well. The preset for this, as usual, will be up on the cloud and linked in the description. And if you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next one.